Welcome, folks that are just joining. We won't even wait for people to join. We're going to get right into this today. This is a quick lunchtime update. It's been a few days. I haven't had a chance to make a video. I have a few things that's in the cooker that I'm going to bring up and show you guys today. We got some immersion updates with the BBT Farm. BBT Todd's really working hard to try to get the main rigging for that set up. And then I can take a zip up there and help get things set in order, get things configured. We're actually running it to validate that it's running well. We'll bring up some of those details on a video after this, but I want to go through a couple key things that are going on right now in the space that's really causing some of that this bull run. So what's up, folks? I see some folks finally coming in. Coinbase listing today. I think that's going to be obviously the major front run that's happening right now in the space. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, pretty much almost everything up right now. I mean, literally the entire space is excited about this. This means a huge amount of liquidity now that can come in to at least support Coinbase. And then from that, you can have a whole bunch of, ancillary benefits from just an awareness. Some people that may have been on the fence when it comes to crypto now sees a crypto company on the Nasdaq, it starts to change things a little bit on that tone. Dogecoin's on the rise. I know there's been a lot of speculation that Elon's going to try a moon mission, and if they put a Dogecoin flag on the moon, like seriously, my dudes, like that's enough inertia to get at least the coin some awareness to get somebody buying into it. But no, it's not live on Twitch. When I tried to go live on Twitch, the Twitch key said that it had expired, and I didn't want to start this and then restart it. So I will fix the Twitch key, and we will be co-streaming on Twitch on the next live stream. It's been a few days since I've done a live stream, but again, I'm going to bring up a couple things up for you guys. Obviously, most people are tracking the fact that Coinbase is listed, and that gives some serious exposure. A lot of things in the news today. SEC, Gary Gensler now is the next SEC chief. I mean, there's a lot of, anytime you get somebody new at the head post of something, you can have direction change. You can have a lot of new directives that come out, and we're going to see how that shakes down. One thing that I've been tracking a lot more specifically, because I want to do a deep dive video with you guys, is the flashbots piece when it comes to MEV and with relation to Ethereum mining and this kind of pivot now since that early meeting that we had at the ETH cat herders when we were talking about EIP 1559, and then this MEV discussion came up very heavily there, and we've now started to see a pivot to where general gas fees are coming down, and a lot more emphasis on the mining pool side is around trying to extract value by reorder sorting the way these transactions are going. And I want to give a proper detailed video. I'll have somebody either from Flashbots on that video with you guys, and we can go through the kind of minutia when it comes to MEV extraction and how some of this stuff is set up, and really how much is actually being extracted and sent to, as a miner, and you're pointing to a particular pool. We know Ethermine said, hey, at least 80% would come back to the miner, and then that they would use, that 20% for research and development funding to become more efficient at MEV. There's also some other telemetry that comes with the MEV where you can have like sandwich attacks to where people that are trying to take advantage of the situation actually get like a poison pill kind of effect where they have a pool of money on it. Like if you're a pool and you are trying to partake in the activity of MEV, you have essentially this hot wallet that's off to the side that is your kind of stash that you use to try to incentivize or front run a particular transaction, because you need to submit the essentially the same kind of action that you're reading in the memory pool. If you see somebody's doing this really good arbitrage swap and you're like, you know what, I can do that too, but you need money. It takes money to make money. So there's these sandwich bots that are in place that kind of poison that environment. And actually, when somebody goes to execute that MEV transaction, they're actually buying a sack of coal, as it were. So it's a way to try to incentivize and bait in these pools that are trying to do this activity and essentially steal their bag. And it's this kind of battle back and forth thing that ends up occurring. They call this kind of the dark forest. Bad things can occur in it. Everybody's kind of like thieves and robbers type of thing, and it's just like this. It's just a different battleground when it comes to extracting value. The entire encompassment of that is extremely interesting, from like a game theory standpoint. There's a really good transparency report that came out a couple days ago. We're at April 14th, so this was April 12th, and it's about an 11-minute read, and it's actually a little longer than an 11-minute read if you're actually trying to understand it. And it's just peeling back kind of like what is the current release of the tech that's used for it, what's going on with updates and changes to the core activity of it, and some key metrics as we start to see kind of this pivot. The one chart that kind of really shows the difference here and was brought out, I've seen a few people talk about it here, is where you're talking, the gas prices of things have been declining essentially since March 2nd or March 7th, where they kind of peaked, where it was very expensive at the time to interact with Ethereum, just doing any transaction, let alone any kind of like swaps or anything like that. And then just really where that flashbot activity started really just exploding. And now you're having this kind of pivot to where there's essentially two lanes of transactions happening, to where you have this pattern is the beginning of the mark of a market-driven separation of a high-speed and a low-speed transaction highway. So people that really want to participate and get their transactions done have this kind of game that they're playing, and then you have more of a consistency on the low-speed transactions that take a little more time but still get through. This is a good write-up, a good read on the activity, and this is more of kind of like a historical report. So I do like talking the detail. This is kind of the effects of it, but this isn't really kind of like the breakdown on the how, the mechanics of the smart contract, and then how this would occur. And then they break down a particular situation where you have a big bundle, and then that you can see that this, this particular, when they say miner, this is one thing I want to make sure is perfectly clear. If you're following and tracking this activity, the reference of miners on this is the pool that is participating in the MEV activity, right? So it's a pool of miners. So most of this is disconnected. So a miner effectively is setting up a pool, and they're throwing their hash power there to be a participant. But the pool is the one actually instituting all this activity. So there's nothing that you personally, as a mining participant, has to change or do in your behavior. I have a lot of messages that get sent to me and asking, hey, I'm trying to understand, do I take advantage of this MEV? Why is my yields going down? Why am I not getting what I used to? That sort of thing. So I want to make sure there's a perfect understanding that nothing that you are going to do as a miner is going to affect this short of what pool you're sending your hash power to, and if they are taking the most effective approach at trying to extract the value. The reasons why your yields are going down has everything to do with the amount of difficulty that's on the network. So your proportional share is reducing. So just understand that's the difference. It has nothing to do with like you not participating or being part of MEV. And it's just purely from the amount of traffic that I'm getting from just Twitter, from DM messages, I got people reaching out to me on Facebook, just like, hey, why is my yields going down? And it's a good segue to get to the next step here, is where your yields are going down because the difficulty is rising. So it's just more people are there, less of a share. If you have 10 people around a table and you're trying to evenly split a pie, based if you're all proportionately the same amount of input and you add 4 more people to that, your percentages go down, by almost a quarter, right? So like you're going to get less yield. Now that offsets because we're looking at almost a 20% price increase here. So while yields may be down, difficulty at 3 to 6, you're have almost a double difficulty. So you're almost having the yield. That's a 50% reduction when the yields back in, I mean, December is a horrible example because there was a lot more yield obviously being had in December with high amounts of fees and all that. The difference between now to then is, and this is actually getting to my second point of this. So your difficulty when you're sharing the pie is going to reduce your total yield on the total sum that is being submitted as part of the block reward plus all the fees. The in addition is the block reward totals, I believe, have started to subside pretty substantially. So if we go to etherscan.io and we start looking at, what's the total, I mean, median gas price isn't too bad right now, but you come over to charts and stats, and what we're looking at is, let's scroll down here, gas price chart, daily block rewards, and that's the 2 flat. Let's see here, hash rate difficulty, pending here. You know what? We can go to it a lot easier. Let's go back. The one I usually go to, which is right here. So right now it's about 4. It's a lot of activity going on right now on the Ethereum blockchain, but recently it's been as low as 2.5 to 3 ETH per block. Right now we're at about 4. So yields today are looking good. Ton of activity right now. We're at all-time high ETH price. So this is really where you get in to see, what's your typical yield. And it is a little higher. It's about an ETH higher than it's been. So you guys should see about a 25% increase in your total mining reward right now compared to a few days ago over the next few days. Right now, if it holds at 4.5 ETH per block right now, plus you're having a price increase to $2,300. So you're getting from a USD value. That's been kind of the pitch on EIP 1559, that if these yields here drop where they're averaging 4.5, and then they drop down to, let's say, 2.5, because a majority of those fees actually get burned up, how much MEV activity is going to make up that burn, on top of, is the price going to increase because now you might be in a deflationary kind of Ethereum situation. Because remember, out of these right here, 2 of those ETH are the inflation. That's it. Just 2 ETH of this is the inflation into ETH. So on this particular block here, 2.8 is the additional fees that are being distributed as part of this activity, right? So if more than 2 ETH is burned per block, because you can have spikes of this where there might be high fees and you're at 8 ETH on a single block. Well, in that particular block, maybe 6 ETH gets burned in 1559. That's the pitch. That's not good for us from a yield standpoint, but if the price of Ethereum does get to $3,300, $3,700, $4,000, it offsets the USD value of the yield that you get. So that's kind of the other piece that I have to usually communicate and talk to people about. Yeah, Coinbase had 382 right now in front training. I mean, yeah, it's probably going to bounce to 450 and then probably pull back hard, I would assume. One of the funny comments I saw earlier today was somebody was saying, why would you invest in the casino when the chips are worth more? So versus that, buying Coinbase stock or buying Bitcoin, which is a better play here. And, I think Coinbase is going to be a lot more palatable for a large amount of capital because they already know the stock market. They don't want to come out of the stock market, and they're just going to buy and trade Coinbase as their ability to get into crypto. So you're going to have that aspect mentally for people if they're going to get into crypto, or if they're just going to buy a participant in crypto's space. When can I buy Coinbase stocks? I would say tomorrow probably for all of us plebs on probably like something like Robinhood or something. So again, that's kind of the explanation. One of the other things I wanted to bring up before we wrap up today is here you'll see a lot of these kind of pulling up and in difficulty, where we're at, 48 terahashes of difficulty on Ethereum Classic, and now we're sitting here at almost 3x increase in total hash rate equivalent. We're at 10 terahash. It was at about 2.5 terahash at one point. And, obviously that's indicative of the $21 price point. With that, you get, pretty much everything actually is up. If we look at, we can come up here and look at good old Ravens on fire too today. We saw a huge price spike today on that, 22 cents. Difficulty has just went through the moon too on it. We're at 159K, which, we're at almost 11 network terahash is 11 terahash. And again, this is equivalent to about 30 terahash of Ethereum mining. So if you take the algebra between what is a typical graphics card mine from a hash rate on Kapow versus Ethereum, it's usually about between half to 33%, somewhere around there, dependent on the GPU. So if you have something like a 3090 that's like 112 to 120 mega hash on Ethereum, it's about 50 something to almost 60 on Ravencoin. But there's some things like the RX 580 8 gig that gets about 12.5 to 14 on this, and it gets 31 mega hash on Ethereum. So you can look at anywhere, I think it's like 38 to 45% somewhere of the hash rate. So when you're looking at how much force projection is on Ethereum or on Ravencoin from something like a transfer from Ethereum, that's equivalent to about 30 terahash, almost 30 terahash, 28 terahash, somewhere around there, equivalent. So what other big mining coins here we have here? I don't know why that's weird that it's given us all of our other crypto channels. Eternity. I mean, some of these have went down in value, but when you have most of the network moving over, Random Max, let's look and see if the CPUs, just a slight increase, even though we've had a pretty decent price increase here. XMR is like a very interesting cookie for us, mainly because it's not very profitable at all, even if you have a high-end processor. Its profitability's been always very, very low. XMR, I did some calculations on XMR. XMR really needs to be around $2,000 to make it, if it gets about a 5x price increase, it would be up there, from a getting CPU mining standpoint to where it really makes sense, comparable to GPU mining right now. Like, it really needs about a 5x price increase, which obviously will drive a lot more difficulty, because difficulty will follow price as more hash rate hits on it, but it's still pretty disproportionate compared to a lot of other networks. But yeah, we have a few there. Let's get through a little more. I've been live for just a bit here. I want to make sure that I cover one other thing before we go today on this quick video. I wanted to give you guys an update on the Immersion. So BBT Todd's working hard right now to get this like cluster setup, because we're going to be submerging a lot of our GPUs up there. We're using parallel miners from the power side, and we're trying to work with some different ideas from just a box clustering kind of style to get the most out of the space of the tanks while still having a good fluid dynamic going across the cards and keeping things nice and cool and immersed. So we've been working with just some air-cooled designs of having the board setting in a specific way, having the board to where the wires will be coming straight up, and then these kind of directly submerged down. And I have a little video here. Let's see if we can. play it and you guys can see it here. And I'll kind of walk you guys through kind of the setup. So we're using a lot of these tower struts to hold the cards together. And, you know, it's got all the risers. This has actually got 12 GPUs. So it's going to, each of the submersion boxes or immersion boxes are going to be about 12 GPUs right now in our current design using the B250 Mining Expert board. You can see the previous build that we did with the 14 card build behind the XFX 14 card 5700 build there. But here, we'll let him get kind of a little closer. And these cards are about 31 mega hash each. This is about 372 mega hash in power from a ETH mining standpoint. So 372 single rig setup here. You can see the kind of GPU setup here. I'll kind of skip through here. Let's see how it's kind of wired right now, kind of setting up. We have some Delta fans on it right now because this is air cooled and they're very tightly packed there, pulling that that air through. Actually, I think we're pushing the air here through it. I think he was trying it both ways, but let's get it here. Here we go. So you guys can see it running here, and that they are staying relatively cool. I mean, again, these had no fans on them at all, so we're just pushing it with the Delta fan there, and you guys can see kind of the setup there. That's the prototype build. So yeah, it's 361 mega hash at that point, and it ends up going to about 370 on all these at about 31 mega hash each. You guys can see that build setup there and running. We got one card there about 70C, but that's giving you guys some kind of visibility on it running. Now, obviously, we'll have the whole entire build spec here. I'm going to take some higher quality video of this build as we submerge it in its first immersion tank. We'll have a lot of the details around that. Again, this is going to be a lot of discovery because we're trying to do it ourselves with the right equipment and the right cooling equipment, but really kind of just architecting a good what they call flow plates of how it's actually going to flow through this, and then some wire management, but just really kind of designing around a few different types of GPU sizes, and then getting it all put together as a package. So it's a very steampunk almost right now. You can see the Delta parallel miner setups right now that we're using with the platinum power supplies. But yeah, you guys should be in good shape for seeing that part. So, and you can see the amperage and stuff that it's pulling right there. So again, a quick little sneak peek on that. I'm actually going to have a better video of that, but I wanted to give you you guys access to seeing kind of it live. This is really what we were trying to work on this weekend. I was doing some like racing stuff with the car and stuff, but wanted to give you guys kind of an outlook for the what's coming with that, and my trip up there will be really kind of helping getting that stuff set up. So I'll do a real quick questions, and then we'll end this one real quick. So you guys got any questions around that? Is there anything specific? I think the workflow here is going to be an overview on the MEV with regards to how it mechanically works, with some emphasis on the sandwich bots. Again, nothing that really matters to a miner more than hoping that the mining pools are taking a lot of risk by getting sandwiched bots. From my understanding, none of this so far will affect us from a miners, because they are using essentially that 20% extraction that they're taking out of it as the kind of R&D and the operations expenses to do the MEV. But if a couple mining pools gets hit pretty hard, I mean, I think one of them got hit for like 300 ETH. That's a lot of ETH. And trying to do this, but the counterparty that took from it. How do you get one of the new ZSX boards? How did you get one of the new ZSX boards? Only has the voltage. We had ordered we have an entire box of a lot of those boards with the from Parallel Miner. So, I mean, I think we put orders in for those in December and January and are now just getting to some of this. No, I don't think we've ordered anymore. I'll have to talk to Todd and make sure. But maybe look how the CFX algo works versus ETH. CFX looks like it will have a great TBS. So Conflux, I haven't put a lot of time into Conflux. We need to look at it. I know that it's doing pretty well. I haven't looked at Helium. I know that Vosk is really pushing hard. Helium right now with the Helium miners. I looked just about 20 seconds into it and saw that, with the batches and stuff, I wouldn't be getting anything till June. So all those price points right now of $100 a day and all that, that's great to hear. But if you can't get the equipment, it's kind of a moot point. That's also part of the reason why I haven't really made a lot of content right now is I'm trying to make sure that people are not going out and spending $3,100 for a 3090. It's just ridiculous. We're not buying any more GPUs right now. Right now, we're working on trying to take the GPUs we do have and make them more efficient. From a cooling standpoint, um, from just a maintenance standpoint, you guys see all the stuff that we have to do with being air cooled and just looking at it on more of a longevity standpoint. But looking at other coins that we can mine is important, especially as Ethereum starts to move away into proof of stake within the next year or so in their current schedule. But yeah, we owe you we owe ourselves a good review of some of the other proof of work networks. Coinbase is live. Nice. Get it done, my dudes. It's 4:30 now. I said at the start of this video that it could be as high as it's probably gonna hit as high as 450. We'll see how close I get. Is it a good time to sell some old GPUs? Honestly, yes. If there's the market demand right now on GPUs are so high, I just actually sold a machine very cheaply. Just I have a local. I just put it on local marketplace. We started changing some of the gaming machines around here, and I had a Ryzen 5 2600G with a GTX 1080 classified in it, 16 gigs of RAM, 500 gig SSD, 750-watt power supply, whole thing put together in good shape, and I sold it for $750 for the whole machine plus the GPU in it, which is a good deal. And the guy immediately, like, I posted it lasted about 30 seconds on Marketplace, and the guy's like, there's got to be a scam with this. I'm like, no, dude, I'm just trying to make sure that it's a good value for somebody. That was a good machine for us. We used it as a streaming box for a while for Miss BBT when she was doing streaming. That was her streaming box. And if she starts streaming again, we'll build something that's like a new 5600 or something for her. So yes, it's a good time to sell GPUs. If you don't need them or you're feeling the pinch and you have a higher cost on your power and you're just like, you know what, I would rather take the money now that you understand. A lot of people will start with mining and they'll get yields and then the yields will pull back for whatever reason if difficulty goes up or price comes down, and then people will start to panic and go, well, this isn't making as much as I thought it would make, and then they usually get, I'm not seeing it, I want to get rid of it. So you're always going to have an evolution of opportunity to pick up from folks. This is a weird time to where if you're having that right now, you're going to get top dollar for your investment. So, and it's not even a matter of trying to screw somebody. You literally are the baseline of selling a GPU right now has been established that it's like 2x market price right now. That is not you screwing somebody over. Like if I pulled that 1080 out of there, I probably could have sold the 1080 for like 550, 600 bucks on eBay. And I was like, you know what? I'll just sell them. I'll sell it in a machine for a gamer, and then it can just go. And I'll keep when you take the price of all those other items in that box, I'm selling the GP for 350 for a 1080, which is a steal at this point. I bought that 1080, I think open box for like 450. So, and I mined with it. I've done tons of gaming with it since 2017, 2018. So like it's a good deal to get 750 for the whole box in my opinion. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, right now is a good time to sell. He says, should I sell my RX 580s now and wait for cheap market GPUs? Problem with cheap market GPUs is so if you're trying to upgrade to like a 30 series, that's probably going to be a while, because even if there is a massive pullback in the crypto market and there's a ton of GPUs that go out on the market, the ones that are going to hold the most value are going to be the 3000 series, bar none, no question. And the big Navi 6900, 6800 XT and 6800 non XTs. Those are all going to hold pretty good value. Because those are kind of the top standard right now. And if you're building a gaming rig or building something that you're going to do some kind of computational stuff with, that's the top thing. So is it going to hold 2x value? Probably not, but it will have a slower tell off than like a RTX 20 series. And then the 10 series will just bottom out. Like there'll be tons of 10 series. There'll be tons of RX 580s, out there. And those will bottom out price wise. If you had a huge pullback in the market in some way, there's speculation that that's going to happen when ETH actually moves over to proof of stake, because there's just going to be too many GPUs being able to mine and not enough networks. We see all the networks here that you can mine against. That there's not going to be any, enough for all that hash rate to come over, right? So you're going to have a tell off there. So right now, if you can get better value for it and you're not really able to mine, to where it makes sense for you economically, then yeah, right now is a good time to move it. I paid 80 for them all. No, it is not. For my opinion, it is not smart to buy a 30 series GPUs at these retail prices. It's just you're taking a huge exponential risk, because even if let's do the math playing forward. Let's say we do know yields are going to go down. That's a fact. Yields are absolutely going to go down with EIP 1559. They're going to drop. There is one thing that could offset yields, but is not healthy for the ecosystem, which is the minor tip that's introduced as part of 1559, that if they're burning fees, but then tips come in and make up those fees, now it's costing the user more to use Ethereum. I think that's bad in general. It would offset some of the maybe yield issues. Ethereum price going way up. Let's say it goes to 10,000, which is just crazy talk in my opinion, but so is $2,100 Ethereum when it was $86 last year. If it goes to 10,000, I mean, yeah, maybe a $3,100 3090 might be able to pay itself off in 6 months. But that's such a high cost for a GPU. It's ridiculous. So, paying 2x, 3x in some cases for some like the 3060 Ti's. I mean, they're 3x right now. Some of them are 3.5x in price. That's just crazy. And like, if you're buying it for that, you have a high chance that those are going to go back to retail at some point. Not to mention, I think all the schedules are slipped when it comes to new releases. I think the 4000 series is slipping at least 6 to 8 months. Based on what I'm hearing, they're just going to push that whole schedule out. They're going to try to pump out more 3000 series. I mean, they're selling more than MSRPs right now to the companies, and then they have an elevated price in addition to that when you sell them in the secondary market. So I paid $1,400 CAT for my 3060 for my 3070 for my gaming PC. Yeah, it sucks, man. What's your strategy to phase out Polaris? Right now, you just sell them. There are buyers out there. We have not phased out. We phased out some that were just giving us constant issues, but we're still running the 470s. I mean, the ones that you guys just saw were 470s, 478 gigs. 474 gigs right now are on Ravencoin. So our 4 gig cards are on Ravencoin right now. That's where we're getting close to 8 gigahash right now on our 7 gigahash. I mean, it bounces between 6.7 to 7.2 gigahash right now. All right, my dudes, I'm gonna wrap this one up. We're gonna keep it right there where it's at. Again, a real quick video, MEV deep dive, and then we're gonna do some of the more details around the immersion if that interests you guys. That's going to be more of kind of like a discovery thing. So I'm going to make sure that I'm posing it as, hey, don't go follow us and do this just yet. This is us discovering with you guys on some of this stuff. We are not immersion experts, but we're going to take that engineering approach to try to figure out the best work through the flow plate design and where we can get the most efficiency from a cooling standpoint and along with that process. So I want to take you guys through some of that design exercise that we're going to be doing from that. Where there's a couple really cool things coming up. There's a conference in the Ozarks. I'll be more specific around that. It's like in June, I believe right now. I think the timing is June. It's the Miners Summit. I think it's minersummit.com. It's going to be more for already established miners. It's not really like speaker design. It's more of like Satoshi roundtable style, but it's to get industry people together that are, building out essentially the proof of work infrastructure. So there's going to be power folks, hydro folks, gas turbine people there from a power standpoint, infrastructure, networking, data security, facility security, a lot of the infrastructure when you start setting up a place. And I'm going to be there. I know there's a few other Bitcoin main people. It's mostly Bitcoin driven right now because large facilities like that usually go more Bitcoin, SHA-256 stuff, but it's close to me, so I'm going to go there. I know we're going to have it's not an expensive conference, and I know I'm going to have a code for people to save money on it. That goes live, I think, on May 1st. So when I come back up from the farm, we'll be getting some more details around that. But it's like a 3-day event in the Ozarks around just discussions. I'm going to be live streaming from there, and we'll be talking to folks that are doing like larger installation builds and just kind of sharing experiences and stuff. So I'm going to see if I can live stream some of the sessions, which would be around that kind of, like we're talking like Hunt 8, Bitfury, those kind of things. So I think it'd be a good, interesting discussion. I'm going to try to get as much as I can live for you guys. And just for the folks that can't make it or anything like that, that you guys can get a free live stream on the channel, which would be cool. So definitely follow, like, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. If you haven't liked, hit that like. It helps the algorithm get more people to this content. And then we'll start talking about that kind of stuff for you guys. So would you recommend selling your 10 series cards? If economically it's not making sense for you, it might make, to keep mining with them, it might be that time for you. All right, my dudes, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.